Imagine for a second a universe where absolutely nothing happens by chance, where every single thing, I mean from a speck of dust falling to the birth of a star, is all part of one massive, unbreakable chain of events. That, right there, is the core idea behind the principle of cause and effect, a kind of law of inevitability that shapes our reality in ways we're maybe just starting to get our heads around. So, it really boils down to this one fundamental question, doesn't it? Is your life just a random series of lucky breaks and unfortunate accidents? Or is there some kind of underlying order, a set of cosmic laws that's quietly directing everything that happens? This question, well, it's at the very heart of what we're digging into today. Now, this quote from a 20th century book called The Kybalion, it just nails the modern take on this principle. What it's really saying is that things like chance or luck don't actually exist. They're just labels we slap onto a cause and effect relationship that's way too complex for us to see clearly. And that leads us to this incredible idea of an unseen architect. The principle basically argues that the universe runs on these consistent, understandable laws, kind of like a perfectly designed machine. And, if you can figure out the laws, you can start to understand the machine. This right here is a perfect way to picture it. Think about a novice pool player. They look at the table, they see total chaos, and they pretty much just hit the ball and hope for the best. They're in effect a victim of circumstance. But a master? Oh, they understand the physics, the angles, the spin, the force. They calculate the outcome and become the cause. They're not hoping, they're literally directing. All right, so let's dig into this idea of chance a little more. According to this way of thinking, it's not just a nice thought. It's a fundamental illusion that actually stops us from seeing how reality really works. I mean, think about rolling a die. We say the result is random, right? But is it really? Imagine an intelligence that could calculate the force you threw it with, the friction of the table, even the tiny air currents in the room. That intelligence would know the outcome before the die even stopped rolling. There's no chance involved at all, just a chain of causes that's way too intricate for our brains to follow. Okay, now this is where it gets really wild when we apply this to our own lives. For you to be here right now, you needed 2 parents. They needed 4 grandparents. You keep going back and the numbers explode until you have literally millions of ancestors. Now think about this. If just one of those millions of people, way back when, hadn't met their partner at the exact right moment, you wouldn't be here. Your very existence is the effect of this unbelievably long and ridiculously precise chain of causes. But hold on, because here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. The version of cause and effect we've been talking about, the one all about self-mastery, well, it has a surprisingly modern history. It's time to meet the 2 Hermeses. So on one hand, you have the Kybalion, written in 1908, which is all about these principles of self-mastery. But on the other hand, we have the original source, the ancient Hermetica, a collection of texts written almost 2,000 years earlier. And its focus wasn't on mastering your life, but on spiritual knowledge, gnosis, and understanding the divine cosmic order. The gap between them isn't just time, it's a whole different philosophy. And this is the absolute kicker. The famous 7 Hermetic Principles, including the version of cause and effect we all know, are a modern interpretation from the Kybalion. They don't actually show up in the original ancient writings. So that begs the question, what did those ancient texts say about all this? Well, the ancient Hermetic view was way more complex. For them, it wasn't a tool for you to control your life. It was a deterministic cosmic force they called the chains of fate. The key term here is a Greek word, haimarmene, which we translate as fate. But in this worldview, fate isn't some random, chaotic thing. No, it's the direct, orderly implementation of God's will, an unshakable chain of events that governs the entire physical world. So the way the ancient Hermeticists saw it, causation was a kind of top-down hierarchy. It all starts with providence, which is the absolute will of God. That creates necessity, the logical consequences that have to follow. And finally, fate is the mechanism that actually arranges the sequence of events down here on Earth. It all flows from one single divine source. But, and this is a huge but, here is the most profound piece of the ancient teaching. Even though our bodies and our physical lives are bound by these chains of fate, our soul is not. The texts say fate can push and pull on the soul, it impels it, but it cannot force or compel it. The soul, because it comes from somewhere beyond the cosmos, keeps its freedom. So what we're left with are two very different paths to empowerment, one modern, one ancient. It really makes you wonder, are you a pawn in the game, or can you become a player? And what does being a player even mean in these two different systems? The modern path, the one from the Kybalion, says yes, you can become a mover. By understanding the laws of cause and effect right here in the material world, you can rise above your situation, master your environment, and become the cause of the life you want. It's all about taking control. But the ancient path, it offers a completely different kind of freedom. It's not about trying to control the uncontrollable flow of fate. The goal, instead, is to use your free will to understand the divine order, to align your soul with the will of the cosmos. And in that alignment, not in fighting it, is where you find true liberation. And so we're left with this really profound choice. Are you going to follow the path of the mover, striving to master the mechanics of the world to become the cause? Or will you walk the path of the ancient seeker, trying not to control the world, but to align your soul with the ultimate cause of everything? The answer, I think, defines not just what you do, but who you are.